Hi there, welcome back to Camera Than Coffee, where I keep you updated with all the latest info about cameras. And today, let's do a specs breakdown of the most owned Sony A7 III and the new hybrid camera Panasonic gh6. I've listed all the important specs of both the cameras so that you can take the right buying decision. Cool, let's begin. It is hard to believe that the Sony A7 III is a 4-year-old camera, as it is still a go-to camera for a lot of creators. And regarding price, there is a difference of just $400 between both the cameras. Let's start with the image quality specs of the camera. The new gh6 features 25.2 megapixel live MOS sensor versus the 24.2 megapixel full-frame sensor on Sony A7 III. Better the sensor, better is the resolution and dynamic range, which makes the camera deliver highly detailed images. And these are the formats in which both the cameras capture and deliver final images. Moving on, while gh6 has the latest processor of Panasonic, the A7 III on the other hand has a slightly older one. The latest one from Sony is the Bion's XR image processor, which is there on Sony A7 IV, and this does make a difference because this decides the processing speed as well as the interface of the camera. However, together the good sensors and the powerful processors on both the cameras allow good continuous shooting. Comparatively, gh6 has a higher frequency continuous shooting, both mechanical and silent. But what steals the show here is the 75 fps burst shooting on the new beast gh6. Amazing. Now let's talk about ISO. Both the cameras offer good range, but the wider ISO on Sony A7 III, both in case of photo as well as video, puts A7 III ahead of gh6. And speaking of shutter speed, as you can see, gh6 has faster shutter speed, which will be helpful in bright daylight shooting, plus its 60-second long exposure will be helpful in night shots. Next up is autofocus. Both the cameras have really advanced autofocus systems, but honestly, as heard from my fellow creators, they trust Sony's hybrid autofocus system more than the contrast autofocus system on gh6. Even if you look at the numbers, where gh6 has 314 AF points, A7 III on the other hand is blessed with 693 face detection autofocus points and 425 densely positioned contrast detection autofocus points, which will definitely boost the autofocus performance. Regarding autofocus performance in low light, the new gh6 focuses down to light level of -4 eV, whereas Sony A7 III focuses down to light level of -3 eV. So yeah, gh6 is slightly better in this case. On top of this, eye, face and head detection on both the cameras is really good, which ensures that the shots are sharp and in focus. And yes, both the cameras have animal detection. And not to forget the focus limiter feature on the new gh6, which allows us to see the minimum and maximum focus distance limit. This is really useful. Looking at the dimensions of both the cameras, gh6 seems to be both bigger and heavier than the Sony A7 III, which is I think because of the larger grip and built-in cooling fan. Good for creators, the gh6 has an articulating touchscreen which is really helpful when taking a high angle or low angle shot, and obviously during vlogging. But the one on A7 III only tilts and has lesser dots as compared to the one on gh6. Just like that, the electronic viewfinder on the new gh6 has more dots as compared to A7 III. And unfortunately, both the cameras don't have an internal flash, but it's okay because external flash is always a better option. One really good advancement in case of gh6 is that it allows the high-speed CF Express card to rest inside the camera and deliver faster writing speed and better buffer capabilities. Another deciding factor while purchasing a camera is the battery life. So both the cameras have almost similar internally chargeable batteries. However, on papers it looks like the A7 III has better battery capacity both in case of stills as well as videos. And yeah, both the cameras do claim that they are dust and water resistant, but this cannot completely prevent dust or water droplets from entering the camera. And gh6 has a Micro Four Thirds mount and Sony A7 III has an E-mount. Now before we talk about the video specs, let's have a 5-second quick look at all the important ports on both the camera. And now the video specs, where lies a lot of differences. Starting with the best part, the new gh6 allows anamorphic 5.8K videos up to 30p, and 5.7K up to 60p. Talking about 4K, where gh6 allows cinema 4K and UHD 4K up to 120p without any recording limit, the A7 III on the other hand allows UHD 4K up to 30p with a recording limit of 29 minutes. And regarding Full HD recording, the new gh6 will give you slow videos as it can record up to 300p versus the 120p on A7 III. However, when it is about external recording, both the cameras have good specs to offer. And what adds to the video qualities are these log profiles present on both the cameras. And yeah, not to forget, thanks to the great processing power, the new gh6 allows us to internally record ProRes 422HQ and ProRes 422 codec videos in 5.7K up to 30p. And last but not the least, the in-body image stabilization on both the cameras. The dual IS2 image stabilizer on gh6 combines the control of body IS and lens OIS to offer 7.5 stops worth of correction, which is 5 stops on A7 III. This is it guys, thank you so much for stopping by. If the video was helpful, do support me by subscribing. See you in the next video.